Government has been advised to pay attention to safety measures, especially in high-rise buildings, so as to forestall casualties in the event of an accident. The advice was given at a fire safety conference in Lagos. Theophilus Elama was there.
According to the Federal Fire Service, fire outbreak caused 136 deaths and 3 trillion naira property loss in 2021. This prompted the Lagos state government to commence the sensitization and occupational safety risk assessment of high-rises across the state as part of its ongoing 2022 Zero Accident campaign. These statistics led to industry experts coming together to chart a way forward for the safety of Lagos residents.
We now have the government agencies like physical planning and urban development. They are the one approving these buildings, they are the one approving the designs. They must ensure that even in their design, the MIE, what they call the mechanical and electrical designs, are looked into critically to ensure that the fire design they have there are able to contain fire in case there's any issue.
Anytime anybody is doing any tall building, even 1 story, 2 story, doesn't matter, they need to have who are the people that understand safety and design? So what are we looking for? How do we prevent the fire so in case it happens?
Experts here say accidents at high-rise buildings often lead to fatalities, serious physical injuries, and loss of properties, which were avoidable if effective safety management systems were in place.
Start from regulatory control and up to the construction and responding. So when all those factors are not taken into consideration when you are putting up that type of building, and when the regulators is not actually carry out on-site assessment to identify problem before it happens, we usually have that type of accidents.
Sustainable construction is very key. What is the meaning of sustainable construction? The first thing we need to know is that when you say a construction is sustainable, that means you start from the beginning, from the design, not from when you finish building a house. You now start thinking where is going to be the exit. You start from the plan they've written down.
They concluded that preparedness starts with design and enforcement of regulations. They also called on government to ensure measures are put in place and enforcement is upheld so as to forestall dangers. Theophilus Elama, TVC News, Lagos.
Again in the nation's capital, where Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court has struck out 8 of the 15 count charge brought by the federal government against the IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. In her ruling on the validity of the charge, Justice Binta held that in the instant preliminary objection application, counts 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 14 have not disclosed any offense by the defendant, while count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 15 show some allegations. Celestina Area reports.
Justice Binta Nyako ruled on the validity of the charges brought against Nnamdi Kanu, striking out some, while pointing out that the other charges have weighty allegations. She noted that the trial of the defendant shall proceed on these charges not struck out. She also held that rendition for the purpose of a criminal investigation is allowed. In the instant case, there is a bench warrant on the defendant, and this makes him a fugitive before the court. The court also stated on the issue of proscription of IPOB, the case is still on appeal and the order proscribing the organization is still subsisting until it is vacated. Counsel to Mr. Kanu moved an application for his bail, submitting that until a person is tried and convicted, he should be allowed to walk free. On his part, counsel to the federal government, Magaji Labaran, urged the court to refuse the application, adding that Mr. Kanu had allegedly violated the earlier bail granted him. He urged the judge to be guided by her discretion vis-a-vis the circumstances of the case, and in the alternative, should order accelerated hearing on the matter so that the defendant can know his fate one way or the other.
Today, after the counts were quashed, we then proceeded to move our bail application. The defendant, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, deserves to be granted bail. The case of the prosecution has always been, and this is sheer falsehood, that Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail. and that was why he was forcibly renditioned back to Nigeria.
The court, in its wisdom, now reviewed all the charges and discovered that with the exception of 7 counts, about 8 counts appear to be similar, and those charges were struck out.
The court adjourned till 18th May for ruling on the bail application of Mr. Kanu. Celestina Iria, TVC News, Abuja.
In Abuja, the Nigerian Labour Congress earlier today picketed Fraser Suites, venue of the meeting between governors and speakers of state houses of assembly on constitution review. The Congress called on them to ensure passage of the bill seeking financial and administrative autonomy for the local governments, the legislature and the judiciary. Chekadisa reports.
After its advocacy to the National Assembly in February on autonomy for all tiers of government, NLC is taking a step further. State governors and speakers of houses of assembly are scheduled to meet here to ratify their positions on the 44 bills sent to the state parliaments by the National Assembly. But the NLC mobilized its relevant affiliate unions to the venue to further push its demand for the passage of the bills, critical to the survival of its members. It is not the first time the National Assembly will pass autonomy for the tiers of government. NLC says it is determined this time to mount pressure on the states to toe the path of the National Assembly. NLC President Ayuba Waba says the current wave of insecurity across the country is a pointer to the failure of the local government system.
It's not only about siphoning their funds, it's also about having a credible election at the local government system, because that is why true democracy is being practiced. If we actually destroy democracy at the local government level, then you are sure that what you are going to have at the center will be a mirage.
Other labor leaders added their voices.
Those who benefit from a corrupt system will not desire a change, but change is the only thing that is constant and relevant. It is time to change the narratives. It is time to make Nigeria better. It is time to give hope to the rural dwellers.
A child that says his mother will not sleep, definitely he will not taste sleep.
The country is not settled today because the judiciary is not settled. Where can you carry your words to go and establish a factory in another man's country, and you know that that country is not a settled country?
The workers said they will follow up the governors and the speakers should they decide to change the venue of their meeting. At least 24 of the 36 states should vote in favor of the bills for them to become law.
These protesters, led by the NLC president, say on autonomy they stand, and all they ask from the governors and the speakers of the state houses of assembly is that they listen to the voices of the people. TVC News, Abuja.
Members of civil society organizations have threatened to mobilize young people to begin another round of protest if extrajudicial killings in the state continues. This is coming after the case of alleged extrajudicial killing of a young person, Abiola Olamide, in front of his house by the police a few minutes past midnight on Sunday. Rafiu Hamid reports.
Human and vehicular movements were disrupted at the popular Olaiya Junction on Friday afternoon by these youths. This is in protest against the alleged killing of Abiola Olamide on Sunday midnight.
Of Osun State Police Command on Sunday, 3rd of April 2022, killed one more citizen of this state.
We put it on record that those two young men, Matthew and Abiola, they were never armed robbers. Yes. One of them has a shop right at Olaiya here.
Yes.
They are innocent citizens of this country whose houses were burgled by police officers and extrajudicially lynched.
They recalled the several incidents of extrajudicial killings that led to NSAS protest, urging the Inspector General of Police to take necessary action.
Recall that some months ago, they killed a borrow operator along Okeoniti. Sometimes ago, they killed Prince Saheed Olabomi of Iragbiji. Some times ago, 3 young boys were shot on their way to the correctional center in Ilesha.
This led to an emergency meeting by the State Commissioner of Police, the Special Advisor to the Governor on Security, Commissioner for Youths and Sport, as well as leaders of the civil society organizations at the State Police Command.
You cannot just go inside somebody's house, even if it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. There's no business. But upon information that these are the people disturbing the community, and 4 or 5 days ago, the community was disturbed, and the same community came to report. We responded, and it was behind the house, an isolated house behind the house. And those people ran into the bush, which shows that the bush was right inside behind the house, bush and a river.
We have resolved that we should give the police enough time to investigate and come up with the outcome of their investigation. And very importantly, we picked a number of people, about 3 people, to equally work with the police so that we can monitor as they're moving on with their investigation. It is important for us to all know that we have it as a responsibility of the government to protect the lives and properties of the citizens.
About 3 persons were said to have been killed by the police between July last year and now, and the youths alleged that the cases have been swept under the carpet. Normalcy has since returned to Olaiya Junction, and the youths, government and the police have agreed to work together towards ensuring that there is no public disturbance. Rafiu Hamid, TVC News.
Let's turn to Kaduna now, where at least 141 Nigerian Air Force troops have been trained on how to effectively protect critical national assets, including military bases. And after the training, they'll be deployed to carry out their tasks in various locations across the country. The training became necessary after a couple of critical national assets were invaded by terrorists within the past month. Lupe Assam reports.
From the protection of critical national assets to properly guarding military bases and also providing effective response to terrorist attacks. These are parts of the skills over 140 troops have acquired after months of training at the Regiment Training Center in Kaduna. The aim is to better position the force to effectively address emerging security threats bedeviling the nation. In a simulation exercise, the troops display their skills to drill their superiors. With the asymmetry nature of the threats by terrorists, the Air Force bosses believe there's no better time to scale up military trainings, intelligence operations, and emergency response systems.
Critical Assets Protection Squad course was structured to meet the ever-changing complexities of military operations in irregular, asymmetric warfare scenarios. This is because in an environment where the nature of the threat is becoming increasingly complex and encompasses the entire spectrum of warfare, highly trained and motivated forces that are equipped with the appropriate weapons and requisite operational equipment becomes very critical.
The Chief of the Air Staff, who was represented by the Air Force Chief of Policy and Planning, charged the troops to discharge their tasks with a high level of professionalism.
I implore you to remain resilient and focused as you strive to fully develop your potentials in the areas you are gifted. Nigerian Air Force expects you to always be at your professional best for effective and efficient performance in the course of your career.
And troops who were outstanding in the course of the training received awards. The Air Force assures that more troops will be given further training within and outside the country, and hopes are high that with such developments, an end will be put to the destruction of national assets across the country. Lupe Assam, TVC News, Kaduna.
Back here in Lagos, the fight against insecurity is said to be a collective responsibility, and to achieve that, the Nigeria Police, in collaboration with Koka-Goda Local Council Development, is taking the awareness to the grassroots. Inolu Apopola reports.
The unabated incidents and unrelenting activities of secret cults in educational institutions has brought Nigerians to their knees in fear. Many young persons have gone to their early grave as a result of this, but these stakeholders, in nipping it in the bud, issued a discourse among relevant stakeholders on how to tackle it. One could adduce many reasons for this threat, ranging from power, money to peer pressure. But these stakeholders have attributed it to lack of proper parental upbringing.
If you're a father, talk to them like a friend. Give them sense of belonging. Ask them questions. Tell them to ask you a question. Don't allow them to be very far from you. By the time you are giving all them, they will have their mind to express what they are feeling.
We all have intertwined roles. Parents come to schools, teachers relate with parents, students relate to the teachers and at the same time with the parents. So whatever they learn at home and they take to school, even if the school tries to correct it and you see parents resist, and that was why you see that I emphasized a bit on the role of the parents. The role of the parents is to be more caring.
Cultism undeniably sets the hand of development clock in Nigeria backwards. But this stakeholder insists firmly that parents, among others, should be at the forefront of this change.
We have so many opportunities in these countries. In Nigeria, you can achieve anything. All you need to do is to be focused and make sure you do the right thing at the right time. Follow the instruction of your parents, follow the instruction of your teachers, and follow the instruction of our religious leaders.
Children are also advised to have a close-knit relationship with their parents.
We should not follow strangers. We should not have too much love for material things and money. They can lead us to bad things.
Cultism is bad, that it can lead to death, it can lead to damage.
In spite of this problem, these experts have noted that the family at primary level and the government at secondary level are equipped with the responsibility to instill positive values in children to ensure a safe and sustainable society. In Niolua, Pokola, TVC News, Lagos.
Politics now, the conduct of all political actors at all levels is the sure way of determining how peaceful the society will be during and after the 2023 general elections. And that's why the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps is gathering stakeholders in Delta State to seek ways to build peaceful and amicable resolution of issues to avoid electoral violence. Ikinamechi has details.
This annual Peace and Security Summit of the NSCDC in Delta State is coming just at the right time to talk about the importance of peace building ahead of activities leading to next general elections, which in previous years have been characterized by violence. Security personnel, youth corps members, traditional rulers, women and other stakeholders deliberated on ways to avoid violence in the face of disagreements.
Every individual must embrace peace. It is a must. It is not negotiable. Every political party must embrace peace in order to create and sustain an environment for peaceful living after the election, to give way for development.
We all need peace. We should all cherish peace. Any wrong done unto you, please try to repay it with what is better than what that person has done to you.
If all of us play our roles in the family, in the society, or in every leadership position we have, we'll be able to ensure that there is peace in our country.
On the worsening insecurity in the country, the guest speaker who deliberated on the theme of the summit wants a decisive action to be taken against banditry and other criminality before they escalate into a war.
It is sad to observe that the way Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Putin underestimated the enemy, so has the federal government of Nigeria continued to handle insurgency with kid gloves. Today, our dear country is on the precipice. No nation has been able to single-handedly win over this kind of insurgency. They must go out. Nigeria needs to go out.
There's a fact that the issue of insecurity in the nation has invisible social sponsors like poverty and unemployment.
According to INEC timetable, party primaries will start in May with other activities until the general election in February and March next year. These participants want everyone to imbibe the spirit of sportsmanship in politics and to know that there is a country to develop even after the elections. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Asaba.
The understanding of citizens and the day-to-day running of government still remains very shallow as the gap between the people and the government continues to expand. To bridge that gap in Nigeria, a social media platform called Whatchart has been launched to help foster relationships, trust and influence the people at the grassroots level.
Nigeria has faced various challenges, especially that of sustaining governance, institutions and development of the economy. These has to a large extent affect the democratic leadership at the grassroots level. But that is about to change as an indigenous social media platform called Whatchart says it is positioned to connect voters where it matters. At this forum, one of the major calls made is for a good representation at the local government level. Participants say if this is done, it will stabilize the political and socio-economic environment and also enhance good governance.
So most of the time when we have conversations on the media that we're used to, these are interactions that are not location-centric. So you're having a conversation and complaining about something about your local government with someone who probably doesn't live in the country. What Whatchart has done is bridge that gap. We of course can have conversations on Whatchart on a ward level, on a constituency level, on a state level, and then the general feed.
We are outnumbered in this room.
The hub is expected to create community where interactions between citizens and government will be central focus with the aim of resolving challenges facing them.
I believe that the app just enables people, like from the grassroots, like everybody, to have conversations that matter on the application, because you are just in the comfort of your home, stating what is happening in your local government, in your ward, and all of that. So I believe that the fact that there is no censorship in curbing people from saying what is or what is not is going to propel us towards that.
The largest demographic in Nigeria are the younger folk, right? And we've all seen that the way they live their lives are really through social platforms. So if you do give folk an opportunity to do it now in a space that has been carefully designed and curated for that, then it makes it even all the more worthwhile.
With Nigerians yearning for good governance, apps like this can better spur good conversations that will bring about development and growth in the country. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lagos.